Ricky Ray Butler is the CEO of Ben Group, a Bill Gates company that built the first and only deep learning neural networks to not only predict but guarantee ROI. Ben Group consists of the world's largest influencer marketing business, the world's largest product placement agency, and TubeBuddy, a platform which has helped over 6 million creators be more data-driven to optimize channel and audience growth on YouTube. With a mission to empower artists and content creators through authentic, non-disruptive integrations, Ben works with leading global brands to revolutionize the media and entertainment landscape as we know it. Featured in Ad Age's 40 Under 40 and a member of the Forbes Agency Council, Butler is serving as the catalyst for the next generation of data-driven entertainment and advertising.
As a planet, we're seeing something very unique and phenomenal that we've never seen before. We're seeing the era of the artist. There are more artists today that are making money and are able to self-sustain their businesses and to be able to grow what they're doing, their audiences, as well as their revenues. And as a result of this, we're seeing this decentralization of content and of unstructured data that has never before existed, where there's truly thousands of different series out there across a variety of different languages, as well as there's millions of content creators across YouTube to TikTok, to as well as the 150 plus relevant platforms in China. There's so much content that as humans, we cannot even comprehend it. And as an entertainment business that focuses on product placement, influencer growth, and influencer marketing, we've had to evolve and adapt to this ever-changing landscape and become an AI company to truly be able to monitor everything that is out there, as well as taking our performance data to be able to prioritize which content that brands as well as creators should observe to make sure that they're staying very relevant and that they can be able to collaborate with. This next slide shows how this decentralization is happening. You look at Netflix, which is larger than the top 4 cable networks combined, as well as Amazon Prime and Disney Plus. There's a lot of growth when it comes to all this content that is out there. And then you also have the social media sites, which we'll talk more about with the content that's being produced there. 10 years ago, this would have looked completely different. Even 3 years ago, this would have been completely different. And this is going to continue to change, and we're going to have to continue to evolve. And we'll talk a little later on how AI is going to be a big piece of that. We have seen in the last decade the emergence of 1,000 Hollywoods. It's not just a bunch of productions, a couple hundred productions being filmed in LA every year. We now have different production communities across the globe. And with all these different streaming platforms, from Netflix to Hulu to Sling TV, there's a lot of options out there as humans we can consume and prioritize. And it's also creating a lot more of a trend of specialized content when it comes to series and films as well. So we've talked how big Netflix is and how big Disney Plus and Amazon Prime are. But if you look at the social platforms, specifically YouTube and Instagram, the majority of their views, with Instagram specifically, 85%, are from content creators or influencers. And YouTube is 82%. And so if you just look at YouTube's audience alone, that literally dwarfs all of Netflix, Amazon, Disney, and all of TV combined, just collectively are just a fraction of what YouTube is. And that's not including TikTok. That's not including the 150 plus platforms in China. There is so much content today, but what's interesting is, there's a lot more that needs to change with both technology and AI in order for brands to truly take this industry more seriously. Because of these numbers, both with the streaming platforms, with the decentralization of television and productions, as well as with influencer content, we believe that the future of not just entertainment, but the future of advertising is going to be inside the content more so than outside the content. And there's a couple of other reasons why. Ad exhaustion is at an all-time high. 86% of Americans have an ad skipping strategy, whether it's digital ads or commercials. 47% of the globe use an ad blocking technology. And I think that statistic is pretty conservative for established, more developed countries. And then 46% of Americans browse online privately. So it's really hard to know, who you're truly targeting. And then 78% of the US use a streaming platform or some SVOD type platform, which, we know that the top 4 are non-ad supported. And so there's definitely data that suggests that humans are trying to avoid advertising at an all-time high, in addition to experiencing this decentralization of content. Even though people's habits have changed when it comes to avoiding advertising, as well as on the content they consume, whether it's on social media or streaming, advertising and brand habits have not changed. In 2020, over $692 billion was spent on media. And only 10 billion of that was spent on influencer marketing, and only around $1 billion was spent on product placement. And so we just talked about this decentralization of content where there's all this inventory out there, but because of a lack of structure and a lack of, to be honest, being very data driven on how to get in front of different communities or different eyeballs, brands have still been a little more hesitant in changing their habits and their strategies in order to really get in front of viewers, to see what they have to offer. We believe these massive budgets in media are going to shift over to influencer as well as to product placement. We've actually seen just in the last year during COVID-19, which was a really difficult year for most industries, we saw an increase of 218% of new client bookings. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, but we believe that we're just seeing the beginning of the iceberg. And what's interesting is that AI, there needs to be an infrastructure, and we believe AI is going to be a big piece of this, of understanding how to navigate all the content and understanding based on performance data, what content needs to be prioritized so brands can actually empower the content by empowering storylines and empowering creators to create more content rather than just making commercials and disturbing and interrupting people while they're viewing their content. Deep learning neural networks and AI are going to be a big part of this shift. And it's going to be the future of entertainment because we need to not understand just what is happening, but why it's happening. And we're going to need very sophisticated technology that can learn like a human, but can scale like a machine and can analyze everything so much faster. AI and deep learning neural networks are completely necessary with this new world of media and content that we have, where we have more unstructured data than ever before, and be able to look at that data, both the structured and unstructured, to truly know how to navigate and how to prioritize where you need to be as a company or as a brand or a service is really important for everyone to level up to this new world and truly embrace AI and make it a center point to your business. When it comes to entertainment and content, AI is essential for better decision-making and to take out all the guesswork, as we'll talk about even more later on. We have 4 different areas where we really are very hyper-focused when it comes to AI. One is discovery, understanding all the content is out there and the details and the data around all that content, as well as predictive analytics, where we like to be able to predict what the positive outcomes or potentially negative outcomes could be based on looking at both the structured and unstructured data. Understanding results, meaning like contextualize the content and the video to know what inside the content is actually making a difference. And that is a game changer when it comes to post-mortem analysis and knowing, okay, what inside the content can really create sales or can help performance of views. And then when it comes to optimization, which is the 4th and last, leveraging AI and training AI to make it so your predictions have a feedback loop and they become more and more accurate month after month. That's something that's never happened in advertising before. And it's something that we've been able to accomplish with entertainment and specifically influencer marketing because there's more data than ever before where we're able to truly make predictions as well as have a feedback loop with as much data needed in order to really make it so ROI is achieved month after month. Since we're doing so much with content and data, the DGX A100 is a game changer for us, especially when it comes to training and being able to analyze terabytes of video content just in a few hours of something that took us before up to days or weeks. It's also been a huge game changer in the research that we've been able to do, where we've been able to come up with much more successful data and outcomes at a much faster pace because we've been able to train with the DGX A100. It's also been a huge game changer when it comes to leveraging unstructured data. And again, this is something that has been very beneficial for us, both from the AI research, perspective, as well as the AI applied perspective. The DGX A100 roughly has made us be able to train and look at all these different terabytes of video content 4x faster than what we were using beforehand. And this is something that has just leveled up everything that we're doing. And being that we are pioneers in the influencer marketing business as well as the product placement business, we really see this and this technology being not just a game changer to us, but to the entire entertainment ecosystem. I would love to now talk about some of the areas where AI has been a game changer for what we do with entertainment. One way is on the influencer side of the business, where we're able to look at image similarity. So if we find a creator that has worked really well for a brand and the brand really loves their branding and the way that they create content and the way that they edit, et cetera, we're able to use computer vision and use other models to be able to see what other creators out there have a very similar way of creating images or creating content. And we look at those aesthetics because that's something that can be very important to a brand that is specifically trying to find different creators out there that have a very consistent or similar affinity to what the brand has. And so this is something that obviously helps us be data driven because we also add a layer of audience overlap and being able to be much more innovative in finding, okay, between creators who look similar, but also where are the creators that have similar audiences that the brand would want to target. And so we use both image similarity as well as audience overlap to make it so the brand gets a group of creators that have the right aesthetics, but also, that have relevant audiences that the brand wants to target. Another area where our AI has been very beneficial is having deep learning neural networks to help us discover which audience we should be targeting that we didn't know beforehand to target. We worked with an SVOD platform called Philo, and we continue to work with them today, where they first came to us and asked us to target men between 18 and 30. As we started to customize an algorithm for Philo and start working and collaborating with hundreds of different creators and different influencers, we started noticing that our AI was suggesting different creators and channels that we were not expecting. And what we learned was that there are other communities and different audiences that could be very relevant for Philo. That could be audiences that Philo could potentially see success with. And so we made a pivot and we started targeting African-American families as well as women 30 plus, in addition, to the LGBTQ community. And as we made that pivot and we started testing these different communities and these different target audiences and demographics, something amazing happened. We ended up seeing an increased click-through rate of 172%. We also saw a conversion efficiency of 10x from what we had before. And even since then, in the last couple of years that we've been working with Philo, we've seen that conversion efficiency go up to 20x. And so sometimes we make these assumptions that there are certain audiences that are going to resonate with what we have or what we offer. And when we look at the data, both the structured and unstructured data, we might find a completely different story. And Philo, as a result of this, has pivoted all their marketing and their branding to cater to these different audiences to target. We have other brands and clients that we work with that have been very successful when working with influencers to be able to optimize ROI and making sure that they have a very good return on advertising spend. On this chart specifically, you see an example where our client was able to decrease their CAC or their customer acquisition cost down 32%. But you'll also see that they're also able to increase the conversion rate by 39%. So we were able to make this campaign a lot more efficient by optimizing with AI, as well as being able to make it so we could increase the conversion rate so we could also scale it and put more money into the campaign so it could become even more successful and generate even more sales. This is where AI is a game changer when it comes to optimization. And because you not only look at the right data, but you can learn quickly on how to train a model to be even more accurate and more effective over time. I'm excited to announce a breakthrough that our AI research team was able to come up with that we call the multi-resolution attention action model. This is a model that really helps us look inside the content and inside the video content specifically to know what is going on that is going to make the difference on when it comes to performance, whether it's driving sales or even video performance of how many views a video can get. This looks at the kinematic weights, so we know what movement's important, as well as the attention maps, so we know what's important to the AI of predicting human behavior. The DGX A100 has been a game changer as we start building this model, because we need to look at huge amounts of data and much larger data sets in order to make this to happen. And something that would have taken us weeks or even months to pull off, the DGX A100 made it so we could do this research at a much faster pace, which is going to be a game changer in our industry, in addition to what we're doing at our business. And this is just another example of where we need, extra help of looking at the terabytes of video data out there to make it so we can, see breakthroughs and be inventive as a company. And you need that, technology that you get from the DGX A100 in order to pull off those types of breakthroughs. When it comes to what we do in Hollywood with product placement, AI is extremely empowering to a lot of different things that we were able to accomplish. One, being able to accurately predict which new shows or new pilots are going to be successful. In 2020, we were able to predict the top 8 out of the top 10 best performing pilots before they aired in 2020. And this is specifically with broadcast. We've also been able to find similar correlations when it comes to new streaming shows and been very successful in predicting which streaming shows are going to be the top performing as well. It's very important, especially when you want to secure first mover position when it comes to new freshman shows. And so as we're looking at all the content that's out there, we usually can look at our data and use our AI to be able to predict which ones are going to have the highest impressions, which we should prioritize as a company to get our clients and our brands to be able to have product placement in those different productions. One thing that we also make a priority is not just to know how many impressions content is going to get in the first 7 days or the first 30 days. We do both, and those are both breakthroughs and are very important to us. But we also want to know, what is the long tail effect? What's going to happen in season 1 and the amount of impressions season 1 gets when season 2 launches or when season 3 launches? And so we like to see how successful a piece of content is not going to be just, in the first month, but also how successful it's going to be on behalf of a product placement in the coming years. So we can see both the immediate and the long tail impact of what a production can have on behalf of a brand. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, we are truly witnessing the era of the artist, which is very important because art is what preserves history and culture. And we are seeing so much art where there's going to be thousands of Michelangelos for centuries to come that come from this era. I truly believe that. Now, with that said, we're seeing all this decentralization of video and content. And in order for us to be able to navigate this new world of entertainment and content and unstructured data, we need deep learning and AI to be able to know what's out there and what to prioritize. It's interesting. We own the biggest product placement business in the world, where we're in 95% of the content across the major SVOD platforms. We also own the biggest celebrity and influencer marketing company in the world, where we're literally working with tens of thousands of creators and influencers every year. As the company that is doing the most amount of activity in both product placement and influencer marketing, what we've noticed is that we're just barely penetrating that blue ocean of content. There has to be an infrastructure for everyone to really prioritize their media and marketing budgets to be much more data-driven and to truly be in front of those that will see them. Now, what is going to be interesting is for brands to evolve and for companies to evolve with entertainment, which I believe strongly is the future of advertising. They must embrace AI and become very educated when it comes to this category, from AI to deep learning, machine learning, computer vision, to NLP, as well as Bayesian modeling. These are all very important to be able to navigate this new world of content that we're in. And I believe it's the tip of the iceberg, that it's going to become even more centralized, and brands and companies that want to be a part of entertainment and want to be a part of content, they need to make sure that their AI leadership has a seat at the table, that as they look through all the millions of possibilities out there with content, that they're truly doing it in a very data-driven way, where they're not making assumptions, but they are able to both navigate and predict what will happen. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate this opportunity to be speaking at this conference.